Alright guys, right here we have a 2011 Jeep Patriot, and today we're going to show you how to remove the front axles. Coming up on Astral Auto Repairs. Alright guys, this is the most important part of this job, safety. Now, I got the vehicle jacked up. I got my emergency brakes held in. You got to have your emergency brakes on. If you do not trust your emergency brakes, get you a set of wheel chocks and chock up the back wheels. The reason why is because on front wheel drive vehicles, what's keeping this car from rolling is the front wheels, but you got the front wheels up in the air. Now, as you can see, I got two very good, you want to make sure you get a good brand of jack stands. Now, I am working on dirt, and as I always told you guys, if you're working on dirt, you want to make sure your jack stand has a solid foundation. As you can see, I got plywood up under the jack. Don't use particle board, use plywood, because you do not need this. This vehicle's heavy. You do not need this vehicle coming down on you. Now that we got everything situated and straightened out, now you can leave your hydraulic jack up under the frame just in case, but I'm going to remove it. I feel very confident of what I did right here. All right, let's move on. All right, guys, doing the axles on these vehicles, both side comes out and installs on the same way. So we're just going to show you one side. All right, the first thing we're going to do after we got it jacked up and all is remove your tire. Your tire is held on by 5 19mm or 3/4 inch lug nuts. Now, as you can see, I hate these lug nuts because they have caps on these, and sometimes, like on this one, the cap comes off. If you got a cap that comes off, the 19mm may strip out. At that point, you want to use an 18mm socket. All right, so let's get both tires off and move back. All right, the next step is take you a pair of snips, and you want to remove the cotter pin. Get that out of the way. Take the little castle washer, or whatever you want to call it, and a spring washer. Take that off, and then you have, let's see, that's a 1 1/4 inch nut. Get that off. There's a washer in there. Take the washer out. Okay, then you want to go around here to the outer tie rod. Here's the outer tie rod assembly right here. There is an 18mm nut right there. So you want to get that nut off of there. And of course, that is a problem, because what's happening is the whole thing is spinning. So now what do you do in a case like that? Now what we're going to do here is, what you got to do is get a pry bar or a pipe and put it up under there, pick up to hold this tie rod up in the air and get that off. Or there is a hex right up here, so you can get an 18mm wrench, hold that in place and spin the joint itself. Matter of fact, let's do it that way. That'd be a lot easier. Let's get that done. Alright guys, what you want to do is get your wrench, your 18mm wrench, put it up there. You want to get, this is a 9mm setting right here. You want to make sure you're going tightening when you're doing that. And it's off. And then let's put the nut back in there so we don't lose it. Alright, let's get the other side done. Alright, the next thing you want to do is take you some mechanics wire. On your coil spring up here, you want to hook this up, tie it up, because we're going to be removing the caliper and the whole, we're going to be removing everything with it. And you can either take the caliper off by these two bolts right here, 14mm bolts, or inside there's 17mm bolts. Let's see, I think I'm going to make this easy and take off the two 14s on the outside. Okay, let's get those off. All right, we got the bolts let's pop them out. Both bolts. Oh no, they're different. The bottom one has this little piece that sticks out right there, and the top one don't. So make sure we're gonna put those back. Take our caliper, walk your caliper out, bring your caliper up, and get up there to hang it. Because you do not want this caliper to hang on the hose, because you can damage that hose internally. So let's get this wrapped up here. And then let's take our bolts and put them back in. So now we know where they go. Alright, what you want to do, you can leave the brake pads in there. If not, take them out. We're going to replace them anyway. Now I'm going to turn this wheel to the side. Down here, you're going to have your lower ball joint. You're going to have a bolt going through just like that. That's an 18mm bolt. So what I'm going to do is, on this side, I'm going to have my wrench. And the other side, I'm going to use my cordless impact. Take the nut off, and I'm gonna go over here. Let's get this brake bolt out of the way. This gets rusty, so what I'm doing is actually spinning it out, and you can see it's still in there. So if you get something like that, get you a wrench or something, stick on the outside, and while you're loosening that up, pry this out. Just like that. Let's put our nut on it so we know where it goes and move on to the next step. Alright guys, now for our next step. Now if you see, here's our spindle right here. Now spindle there's a slot right between there. Now what it does is when that bolt tightens up, it squeezes that together and holds in that lower ball joint. So what you need to do is open that up a little bit. Let's try something here. You get you a long pry bar, and you're going to have a hole right here in the center. You see that? Mm-hmm. Put your pry bar in that hole, and you're going to pry down. Now, see, you can't pry down. The lower control arm will not pry out of there. So what you got to do is turn it to the side, get you a chisel, put the chisel right between there just like that. And you might have to let that go because that thing goes to the side a little bit. And then you're going to take your hammer and you're going to hit that hammer into the chisel, and it's going to actually open that up. Now once it gets in there like that, now I can hold it to the side with my hand, and that opens that right up. And while that's in there, let me see if I can get this down there now. Oh my goodness, that thing is jammed up in there. Okay, open this up a little bit. Alright, get me a bigger chisel. So there it is, just like that. Now, don't pull on this out here yet. Let's get this off of here. Take the hammer. Okay, now what you want to do is turn to the side. Now you need to, this axe, sometimes you can push these axles right, push it right out, but this one don't. Don't hit this with a hammer or you're going to damage the thread. So you're going to take the nut, put the nut up there, just like that. Then take your hammer, and you're going to hold out on the spindle just a little bit. And this might be out enough. I hope so. Reach your hand in the back, hold the axle, and of course it's not going to come out. If it don't do that, guys, you're just in a world of trouble right now. So what you're going to do is hold this back, take the ball peen part of the hammer, or you get somebody to hold this back and stick something right in the center of that and do it. But take the ball, because this right now is pretty loose. Man, this thing got a lot of rust on it. And it is out. Swing that out, swing it to the side. Just like that. Now you have access to the axle and, in this case, or the ball joint. Now, the next thing you're going to do is grab you a pan and stick it up under the car. Alright guys, the next thing you want to do is take a pry bar and you want to stick the pry bar between the axle and the transmission. And what you're going to do is just pop it out just like that. Have your pan there, and just that simple, guys. You saw that? Just that simple. Go in there and pop it right out. Then, get from under there. Then, and remember, both sides are identical. Then you just take your axle and take it out. Now, when you use that pry bar and pry it out, that's all you're doing is prying that. This is a snap ring. This ring locks it into place. And there you go, guys. Both sides are identical. So if you have any comments or questions, be sure to post them below in the comment section, or you can email me direct. Now, installation is the exact same thing as removal. So,
okay.
Huh?
When you put it.
Oh, okay. Also, guys, when you put your the axle, so we're trying to be on a sneak and be quiet and say it. When you put those back in, what you want to do is now there's some splines, and these splines gotta line up inside there. It's not just one way, any kind of way, but just make sure they line up. And when you put those in there, you want to put the axle in there, twist it a little bit, so you'll feel it line up on the first ones. And make sure you do, because you don't want to damage anything in there. Okay, I felt it right there. Go in. Then what you can do is push and lock it into place. Let me see, did I lock it into place? No, I didn't. Let me get right here. Make sure that's in there. And I just pushed it right into place. If you don't trust your strength to do that, just hold the axle right there. Make sure the teeth is lined up, and just take a rubber mallet and hit this, and it'll lock in. So right now, I'm locked into place. So I'm gonna go back under here. Just pretend you're on the other side. Take your pry bar, and that's all you do is just one good pop like that. And take that axle out of there. That's it. Now, trust me, you're probably gonna have fluid coming out of there, but this one not, because we got it jacked up on it, or because we already drained out transmission, because we're doing this video is part of doing the transmission on this car. All right, guys, take care.